Incoming! This is a special edition of our show where we field your comments and questions. But watch out, we might just return fire!
Hello, and welcome to the D6 Generation Mailbag
Special Edition
Episode 1.
Extravaganza.
How we want to work is, I should give credit where credit is due. This concept was inspired by another podcast called The Slice of Sci-Fi. And what they do is, they have an extra bonus episode every so often that has none of the glitz or glamour of the show. Just they go through all their mail.
I like to think that everything we do has glitz and glamour.
Well, Hollywood's in
You
it,
have
so
Hollywood.
It must be
He
glamorous.
brings glitz and glamour wherever he goes.
Right.
He leaves it in the toilet.
Right. So this is a bonus episode, so it's not even the same numbering system as our regular episodes. If you don't like us just rambling on about our mail, just ignore it. We're still going to have our regular episode every 2 weeks. This is just a little extra one that gets thrown in now and again. As the mailbag fills up, we're going to take a moment, whip through the mail, and talk about everything in there. No special show notes or anything else. We're just going to rip through whatever's in there and give you our honest opinions.
And shoot back.
And let you guys know it's return fire. Not that we want to endanger our listeners in any way. We love you all 7 of you. And so we've really been enjoying your feedback. Yeah, that's maybe 8.
In Sweden, right? That guy in Sweden makes 8.
That's right. We do have the Swedish guys. So we really do enjoy listening to all your feedback. It really makes us feel great about doing the show. So we want to take some time.
The only reason we do it, actually.
Right. Because if you didn't listen...
Because we don't like each other.
Right.
And we don't like spending time together. So it's really all about you telling us that you like us.
Right.
You really, really like us.
That's not true for me.
It's not true.
That's not true. That's not true. He's lying.
Okay,
I like to hear myself talk.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you do. But you're a lawyer. You're supposed to.
That's right.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so let's start off with the first one, and this is from our the D6 Generation site. Someone left us a comment. Rafe, you want to take that one?
Yep, this one's short to read. Quote, "Is there a reason you feel you must insult Southerners in every episode? Just curious." That's from Ben. You know what's funny about that is I actually thought that, and that was not my intent. There was one episode where I said I prefer the Southern pronunciation, if that's what he's referring to. And what I meant by that was I say Cador, even though the forum clearly says the owners of the game say the proper pronunciation is, Cador. And so I was just trying to be funny and say...
But
I
why
just
is that the
Cador.
Southern pronunciation?
What's that?
I don't understand why that's the Southern pronunciation.
I was just making it up, meaning Southern Cador. Trying to say, like...
Oh, like
I still don't...
dialect.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I...
We've never intentionally... Yeah. The only other time I think we specifically mentioned the South was when we were talking about the pronunciation of the word DACA.
Or DACA.
And I think we just... But we didn't mean any ill intentions. We were just kind of trying to imply that maybe it's a dialect thing.
We love the South.
We've all spent a lot of time in the South. I went to school at Virginia Tech.
I lived in Tallahassee, went to graduate school at Florida State University, and then lived for two summers in North Carolina.
And then, Rafe, you also spent quite a bit of your life in Texas, right?
Yep, Southern Texas.
Right, so, which is technically a different country, probably. But in any case...
Actually,
or soon will be.
I've loved my time in the South. I've had some great friends down there, so no disrespect to our friends down below the Mason-Dixon line. If anything came out that way, it was purely unintentional.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll take the next one. This one's from our D6 Generation email. We got one from Tom, and he says he really likes the... he now likes the rapid fire. It was a little rough in the beginning.
And he says he's occasionally giggles. So I'm not sure we can say he's a big fan of rapid fire, but we appreciate the slow movement in our direction.
As we like to say, not too horrible.
Exactly.
And that was also a fan
trying
review.
Not to suck.
That was a fan review. They said not too horrible once, and now it's a tagline. I like that one. But he actually did it. He asked us to talk about War of the Ring, which is recently reprinted by Fantasy Flight Games. He's been thinking of looking at it. So we'll put it in our list of games to take a peek at.
Because it did actually come up just last night. Somebody mentioned it, that they wanted to play it.
Yeah, so I'd like to take a look at that one. How game reviews work here is we are just a little podunk podcast, and no one sends us any games for free. So basically, if one of us got up the gumption to go buy the game and then we try it out, or a friend of ours has the game, we try it out, we're happy to review it. As you know, these games are not cheap. None of them are. So, but War of the Ring does have some of our fancies tickled, so maybe we'll take a look at that sometime. We'll keep it on the list of things to look at.
Yep.
And another from Dakadaka, Photobet, who's got one of my favorite online names, he's one of the many people who asked about the mission cards, and as I said in episode 7, we are working on that. We're going to try to get some version of them that we can somehow distribute to you guys in some way. It's a project in process.
Okay, and then our episode on War Machine, we had a 2-part War Machine review, and that did generate a lot of comments, and none more well thought out and well put together than from Rob on Dakadaka on our discussion forum there. And Rob said quite a few things. I'm not going to read the entire thread about it. The entire thread did get discussed in detail on the site, so if you want to see the entire
There's a whole discussion
and our responses, go to dakadaka.com, Daka Discussions, and the thread up there for D6 Generation Episode 6, and you'll see this there. But basically, he brought up a couple good points. I think we didn't do a good job explaining a couple things. So I want to go through and just kind of explain them. Not saying it's going to make you love the game or not, just want to make sure we all understand what we said. So one of the things he was a little confused about or concerned about was boosting. And Rob's point, and Rob is obviously a Warhammer fantasy player. Nothing wrong with that. It's a very strategic game. And his concern about boosting was, does it boost sort of give you the ability to get out of a sticky situation? In other words, if I've made the mistake of pairing up my not very accurate Warjack against someone's nibble defensive guy, doesn't the ability to boost sort of let you get out of that? Isn't it sort of a crutch as opposed to some kind of strategic tool you use in the game? And I would say that I think after I discussed it with him on the forum for a while, I think he misunderstood and thought you could boost all the time. In actuality, jacks in general can't hit the broadside of a barn. Most of them are MAT 5, and they're designed to have to be boosted to really have a decent chance of hitting anything. So really, it's not that boosting gets you out of a sticky situation, is that boosting oftentimes is one of the few ways to make the jack guaranteed effective in a scenario, right? Or not guaranteed is a strong word, but probably effective in a scenario. So it's more of and only jacks can be boosted. I think we didn't clearly say that. You can't boost everything.
The main misunderstanding was most units cannot be boosted.
Right, and you can only boost if you have focus on the jack. And remember, focus is a limited resource that your Warcaster has. So you're not boosting everything. It's only Warjacks, and then it's only if you were able to allocate enough focus to the jack to have the option to boost. And if you did that, it means your caster's less powerful. He can't cast as many spells. So there's a give and take to it, and you have to decide which jacks you're going to boost before you make any rolls or movement that turn. So it's not so much a oh crap save you. It's a real where am I going to put these things and where is it going to help me the most.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully we cleared that up for you. But he did make a lot of good comments, and he really did think about it. And we're glad we got you thinking about the game there, Rob. So hopefully we haven't totally destroyed your ability, your desire to want to try it out. So give it a go.
Okay.
Craig?
Then we've got some shouts out from Canada, Keith. I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try. Keith, way to go. We appreciate your comments, and I am definitely going to look into the Dante Valentine series. I love Dresden, as I've already said, and someone else had mentioned the Valentine series to me, and I'm definitely going to look into it.
We're talking about books here, right?
The books, yes. I'm just finishing up the Nightside series now. I've got the last book, the current book, and I'm reading it, and I like it, but it's just not Dresden. As far as our Wings of War review, he mentioned a bunch of reviews that he'd like to see, and just going to pick out a couple. A Wings of War review is definitely coming up in the near future.
Yep.
I've got
Craig
the rules
online,
and they're no longer in Italian, so we're good to go. As far as a good co-op game, I don't know, guys. We got a good co-op game in the works?
I think if you rewind back to the beginning of this episode...
This is not an episode, my friend.
Oh,
this is
you're
a special edition.
It's a special edition.
If you go back to episode 7, however,
yes,
you'll see the first co-op game I've ever played, and I loved it.
And I'm not sure, actually, if the Mailbag episode will come out before episode 7 does, but it'll be the same week.
Which would be embarrassing, because then you won't even have access.
It'll be very close, though.
Okay.
So it's episode 7 is where you want to go check out the co-op game.
We will obviously do Hordes, and we have a little special something in the works for D&D 4th edition. We may be able to talk about it a little early.
Yeah, we'll make it definitely early. We're excited.
Enough said.
How jealous are you, Granger?
I'm pretty jealous, pretty bummed. I'm not going to be able to make it.
Yeah. We might be moving the date slightly, though, so I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, sweet. Okay, cool.
And now we got some words from Dublin.
All right, so Ray, if you want to take the one from our friends in Dublin there.
Yeah, what I like about the Dublin email is they drop us a line, let us know they like our podcast. Number one, I'm excited that we have some overseas listeners. I think
We have
it's
a
one
bunch.
of the cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's neat that we can reach like-minded people now with podcasting, no matter where they are, and they think that they should, you guys should call me instead of Hollywood, Bollywood.
I like it.
Busting on the Indian big budget films. It has all the glitz and glam, but in the end, you rather feel let down by the whole thing. Then, of course, they put, joking, of course. What I liked about that is that's like my kind of humor. I thought that was funny.
It's my kind of humor, too, because it busts on your Hollywood name. So
yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
that was
Ryan Allen, thanks for that email.
Ryan Allen, thanks.
Ryan Allen from Dublin.
We got some more email, too, from Brian B. And Brian liked some things about our Privateer versus GW stuff, but he's also a Warhammer fantasy player, and he wanted to chime in that one of
he does enjoy Rapid Fire. I just noticed.
Oh, he does enjoy Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is one of those things, and we should say this about Rapid Fire, because a lot of people have sent us email that say, please cut it out. And we don't cut it out
It
because
hurts. It makes
literally
me bleed inside.
Honest to God, this is the truth. For every one email or forum comment that says we don't like it, there are 5 that say they love it. So it's just the kind of thing, either you totally like it or you totally don't.
Now, where did we get reviewed this week?
Oh, yes. We have to thank Samurai Gunslinger.
There we go.
He has a blog, and he reviewed us, and it was a very flattering review.
And I agree with him 100%. I think Rapid Fire is hit or miss, and I'm the guy who writes it. So,
Right.
I mean, sometimes it comes to you and sometimes it doesn't. But thank you,
comedy.
those of you who are sticking with it.
Right.
Now back to the meat of the email.
So Brian did it. He likes Rapid Fire, but he commented, and I think he wrote this email before we did the full reviews of War Machine. So he is going on our GW versus Privateer, and he wanted to point out that the character customization and the unit customization of War Machine he thinks is a real negative as compared, or more. I guess he's probably saying that Warhammer is something that does that very, very well. And I think in our review we mentioned that, and I'll say it again. I do think that I'm not necessarily sure that it's something Privateer doesn't do well. It's just that something GW does exceptionally well, better than anyone else, and that is that your characters and your units can be customized not just for fun, but actually all the little bits and gizmos you put on them actually have game mechanics and game effects. And even, for the orcs, the color of their paint job actually affects their game rules. So I've always thought that is really fun. Although the flip side of that coin is you always get the players like, I don't want a model on my guy. Do I have to be totally rep? You get that guy in your game club, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or how about that guy who's got the las cannon who sits on the base of the model because
Right.
glue it on the guy.
But yes, that's definitely, Privateer Press, each unit, he says he feels Warhammer Army is truly unique as opposed to the cutout feeling I feel when I deploy a Privateer Press army. That's fair. I mean, there's definitely more different units you can play, so the armies feel different in terms of what you bring together, but I think it's a very fair comment that...
I agree with it.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, and even me, the PP fanboy, I agree with it too. I definitely miss the fact that you feel like it's your army when you're building a Warhammer army, But I think there's a caster out there for everybody, though. It's close. It's not the same.
Now, we got another email, and this gentleman took a bit of time in his email, so I wanted to give him some credit here. This was...
That's a lot of math.
How did he say? Carl. Now, Carl, back when we did our... one of the things we talked about, and this has actually been a source of great debate online, because generally, people who play War Machine will say, well, it's a cheaper hobby than Games Workshop. And you get in all these debates, well, is it really cheaper because this one guy is the same price as that one guy? Or really, if you buy a Krix army and make it all infantry heavy, it's really very expensive also, and all those other things. So what Carl did was Carl went into the idea, I think he was going in, if you read the full mail, he was kind of thinking there'd be very little difference. And all he did was he has a GW army, he plays Sisters of Battle, and he also has a Privateer faction he plays, or a War Machine faction he plays Krix. And he went through in a detailed email, and he put the price, for example, of like his Sisters of Battle main rule book for GW, the Sisters of Battle Codex, what it cost him for a 500-point list of... And what's interesting about this is he did equal point values. So he did a 500-point list of 40K, with a Canonist, Sisters of Battle unit, and all that, and he got it to be $244. And then he did a 500-point list for War Machine. You know, he bought the rule book, and then he factored in all the prices for what he did for his Crix list, and that came in as $161. So there's a $72 difference at a 500-point level. And then as he went up, he did it again at 1,000 points for both, and that difference ended up being a little over $200 in Privateer's favor. And then he did another one at 1,500-point lists for again in both systems, and that difference ended up being a $259 difference.
But he admitted that he's got a very expensive Warhammer 40,000 army. Sisters of Battle has no plastics.
Nor does Privateer.
Okay.
It's apples to apples, my friend. But anyway,
I disagree. I think he's got a Crix. I think, especially the main units that he's using in Crix, there doesn't seem to be a lot of troops, which is where you crank up your prices on Privateer Press. And the Sisters of Battle is a very expensive Warhammer 40,000 army. Yeah. My Hordes army, which I think is at 750 points.
Yep.
The one I played you at in TempleCon cost me about $500, $450 to $500. I mean, it's very troop heavy, and it's trolls, which are expensive.
Right.
But I agree that Privateer Press is probably cheaper than Games Workshop, or 40K is more expensive than Horde's War Machine. But I also agree with him, and what he said was that the numbers that he's using might not be 100% indicative. I think that there will be a difference. I think a $250 difference is
that's at 1,500 points,
at 1,500
points, which you'd never make a 50. I mean, you could.
Right.
Some people have, but
I don't know. Yeah, online on the Privateer Press forums, there's those guys that are like, I have 8 billion points of.
So your mileage may vary, but I think it is probably true that the average tournament army for War Machine is probably slightly cheaper than the average tournament army for 40K. But I think model for model they're about the same price. So the really cool big Warjacks probably about the same price as the really cool big Dreadnought.
I don't know. I think it's still Privateer Press still has the edge there.
Right. I'll allow that. In fact, I'm going to take that soundbite.
Great.
Craig saying Privateer Press is the edge. Let's go right in the front of the show.
Yeah,
okay.
Swell.
Rafe, why don't you take the next one there?
All right, hold on. I was surfing for that one, and I found it. It's not on our list.
Way to get the ball there, Rafe. Why don't you take that one then?
All right.
Good going, Bollywood.
This is what it was. This was from DACA, and it says our longtime listener, Juan, not Rios. Do you guys remember this one? Responding from Craig about the sci-fi versus the industrial fantasy.
Oh, yes, I remember that one.
Yes. And that's where the reference to he says Bollywood needs to watch fewer infomercials. I had a laugh out loud moment with this canned question somewhere around minute 50 of the show. And he quotes it, Russ, it's a game that focuses on resource management. Rafe, what the heck do you mean by that? So anyway, that's where I pulled that from Craig.
We did this again in episode 7.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's the one I was looking on there, and now I got to switch back to my other document. So skip me, and I'll come back to the other mailbag.
Yes, basically Bollywood scours the internet for kudos for himself and reads them online.
Very good.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so
I'll skip down one, and we'll go to an email or a comment from Quetzal on DACA, and he wants to inform us of the math behind our rating system, and that a 4+ with a reroll is better than a 3+. Yeah, we knew that. Roll with us, man.
At that point, it's kind of arbitrary. Yeah, I think basically Craig and I gave the same score roughly there, which is I gave a 3+ and he gave a 4+ with a reroll.
No, I gave a 3+ with a reroll. You gave a 2+.
I didn't give a 2+ to anything.
You most certainly did give a 2+ to Shadows over Camelot.
Well, but that's not what they're talking about here. He's talking about.
No, I think he's just talking about the rating system in general.
Okay.
I'll throw an elbow.
I did give a 2+ to Shadows over Camelot, but you may not have heard that yet, depending when this comes out.
Again, we've got that time travel
space-time continuum.
He did just
Rafe,
give a 2+.
Ready?
So, Rafe, do you want to? Well, I can tell you what this was about, Rafe. So,
enough with the witty banter. Rafe.
I'm ready.
We had another gentleman ask us, unfortunately, some of these don't always have names on them. Sorry, folks. It was Longbow from the D6G website.
Longbow, yep.
Go ahead, Rafe.
Okay. So he likes our podcast, which is great, and he's wondering what our thoughts and reviews on AT-43 would be. And again, Russ and I have sort of contemplated. Again, we don't get these games for free, so we're not sure. I think probably in the future we'll do that. What do you think, Russ?
I've dabbled in the past. I actually do own the rule book.
We might proxy some stuff.
And we might proxy it a little bit. There are some comments on it in episode 7. I'll leave it at that. But I think there's no way to review the game without playing it, obviously, a few times. So we'll definitely do that, too. I did play the Operation Damocles starter box, and that totally turned me off to the game, I have to say, I will admit. And I think that's because Operation Damocles was presented in a way that I think anybody, even the most ardent AT-43 fanboy, would say, dear God, what were they thinking?
That's pretty much common thought now, isn't it?
So because I saw it that way, I was just like, well, this isn't worth my time. And
that's how I saw it. Also.
Now, though, the new rulebook actually is full color. It's the gorillas look pretty cool, I have to say. So it does have my interest peaked again. Although I've had some bad experiences with the confrontation rules in the past, so I'm dubious, but I definitely want to give it a try. That's my long-winded answer.
All right. Longbow also wants to know if we're going to do a review on the Iron Kingdoms D20 role-playing game, and I do like that system. I have the character guide, I have the world guide, and I keep trying to think I'll do a dungeon crawl and get guys into it. I think it's a fun system. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with 4.0. I don't know if the two are going to meld. Not that matters, but yes.
You mean D&D 4.0, right? Because Iron Kingdoms is built on the open license from 3,
D20,
right?
yeah,
D20.
I do. Well, I just think it's not even an open gaming license problem, although they are talking about that. I think the issue is going to be 4.0 is really a complete overhaul.
Right.
Yeah. So now what does Privateer Press do? Do they update their books to be 4.0 compliant?
Right. Now, Rafe, there's another one here for you. Regarding from Jason in Minneapolis, and he wants to talk about your intro music.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do need intro music, and I want Jason to know that I had really cool techno intro music, and Russ, since he does all the editing, cut
Please
it out.
note that really cool is a subjective term.
Right.
Yeah. I do like what Russ and Craig did off the cuff, though. I've grown quite fond of it.
We think of it as iconic.
Right.
Yes.
And Jason, though, did recommend, when he hears the word Hollywood, he thinks of the wrestling Hollywood Hulk Hogan music. So he thinks that'd be a cooler intro music for that. And then he also mentions that we should try Paranoia. If you like me being evil in Descent, that I should try Paranoia, because that game is well, just so you know, Jason, I have played Paranoia. I played it once at a convention a long time ago, but then also Craig's played it more recently.
Not more recently. We've played it. We played it long before Mongoose Publishing was a gleam in somebody's eye.
Right. And
way back when it was first put out.
That was an evil game, and I had a blast with it.
One thing you don't want to do is play Paranoia in a military college. That's why I'm just gonna go with that right now.
Well, it's an RPG that basically
the GM's goal is to kill off all the characters,
and the characters are all basically constantly trying to kill each other. Like, the whole thing is just like, you've got a mission that none of the other characters know, at least in when I played it, and so. Like, for example, one of my missions was we're on this overall mission, but my subplot was to try to delay the mission as much as possible without being found out as being. So it's kind of like the traitor mechanic in Camelot. Yeah. Everybody's got their own little sub agenda, and so you think you're working together, but you're not really working together, and you're all paranoid about who's going to screw who next. And
it's an evil game.
It's an evil game. Fun though. It's fun. And now I got another letter from I think it's pronounced Nils. And he heard us talking about Tannhauser in episode 2, and he heard our glowing commentary on the game, and he
got all excited.
Was checking out on Board Game Geek, but he saw a couple negative comments there, and he's like, some people think it's formulaic, and so I wanted to know, do you still recommend it this far after the podcast? And as I mentioned in episode 7, I just played another game last week with it. Every time I break it out, people still enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I just played for the first time last time there's a take and hold objective mission. They don't call it that, but basically there's multiple spots on the map where you have to get to and plant your flag. And then once you plant it,
capture the flag.
Well, no, capture the flag is you get the flag and you bring it back to your base.
Domination?
Domination, right. That's the one you go and you grab the points. And I really enjoyed that. It made the game a whole unique experience. Opened up whole avenues of having to defend a position. I really enjoy the game a lot. Everybody I show it to enjoys the game. I really think it's a no-brainer for that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess if you played it every single day and it was the only game you owned.
You're not gonna have a Tannhauser League.
Right. But
Right.
in terms of just a great board game to break out while you're waiting for your rest of your crew to show up, what I like about it is I can play with gamers who don't play War Machine or 40K. They're just hanging around in the gaming store, and I'm looking for a game, and they've got some other friends later to play an RPG. I can break that game out. We can all sit down and play it and have a blast. So, and again, it hands up to 10 players. It doesn't really matter how many people are standing around. Just come on in, grab a miniature, let's go. So from that point of view, it's good fun.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it again if that's the kind of gaming environment you have.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on it is, Russ, you own it, so I game with you, so I'm not going to buy it. But if I was in a different gaming club, I would 100% buy it and keep playing it.
That's high recommendations because Rafe doesn't buy many board games.
That's right.
Unless Russ pulls a Jedi mind trick.
No, I get him to buy video games.
Oh, okay.
Not board games.
No, you got him to buy the Monk game that had all of our wives up in arms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
We
believe
did
that
laugh
was the
hard,
report.
though. I still can't buy
laugh.
that.
Anytime my friends are speaking in plain song chant, I'm going to laugh.
All right.
The sad thing is like, now when am I going to play that again?
I thought a gaming group would like that better than the girls and boys combined, but I still don't think it's got a lot of replayability.
Well,
Yeah, I agree.
it's like Clue. I mean, it's as replayable as Clue.
Right. How replayable is Clue?
I don't know. When you're younger, you played a lot.
Right. How old are we? Not younger?
Well, no, but with your kids or family.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, okay.
All
Your
right.
kids are gonna.
It's not a wargamer game. That was a mixed company game all the way. That's not a game you break out of the gaming store. I don't think. I
think it could be fun, but I think it would be much more fun without the ladies. But I don't know. Maybe it was the margaritas that did it. Maybe without the margaritas. Okay, fine. And then we got an email. Finally, we got an email from Todd that we're all going to talk about a little bit. Todd loves Warhammer 40,000, the fluff in the background like we all do, but doesn't like the game anymore for a bunch of reasons, and he now uses Star Grunt, the Star Grunt rules, now available as a free download on the GZG website, and would like for us to check it out, and I might just check it out. He would like to know a couple things. What 40K armies do we have? And do we like to play with games that play with points or scenarios? And I'll go with armies. I'll take armies first. 40K armies that I own.
It's a shorter list to list what you don't own.
Right. Ready?
Really.
Here we go.
Tau.
By the way, these are all fully painted.
Dark Eldar.
Beautifully painted. How many? You got to see the point values.
Okay, fine. I have approximately 3,000 Tau.
We're gonna embarrass
3,000 points Tau, 3,000 points Dark Eldar, probably about 2,500 points of Imperial Guard.
Most of them are converted also, folks. They're not as you see them on the shelves.
I have 2,000 points of my squats. I have the pride and joy of my play once and never use it again. I have 4,400 points of Khorne army.
Who builds a 4,000 point army to play
Hey man,
once?
I was still working for the company. It was a hardcore. That was hardcore. You want hardcore? I'll give you hardcore.
That is hardcore,
4,400 points. I have what else do I have? I had an Eldar. I had my Slaaneshi Eldar that I loved.
I think
and
there's some pictures
sold
on the site
online.
for that.
I have what the heck are they called?
Mention your orcs?
Grey Knights. Grey Knights. I don't have any orcs anymore. I had second edition orcs and sold them all. I think that might be it. I think I'm missing something.
And the Inquisitors? Well, Grey Knights, you said.
Yeah, Grey Knights. I have a whole loadout Grey Knight fest.
You got your Rising Suns?
No, I have the ancient
Marines.
Space Marines, the Rising Suns. I have the Divine Wind that I won the Bronze Golden Demon in 1999 with. I've got the Space Wolves that I'm finishing up now. I've got pre-Heresy Space Marines. I've got all the bits and pieces put together, and I just haven't started to work on the army yet. So I think that's it.
Right.
I know another one.
What?
Your secret project.
Oh no, my secret project is not an army, my friend. My secret project, only insofar as it would be an army that I can use to take over the world.
Dang.
All right,
Okay.
so Granger, what did you have, or do you have, or
All right.
still
Don't have anymore. I've sold every single one, but I had Space Wolves. I had Imperial Guard. I think around the 2,000 points for each,
You
I
had
guess.
Chaos Guard too, right? Didn't you have Corrupted Guard at one point?
Well, that's my third and last army, which I really liked, which is, yes, I had a Nurgle-infested Chaos Army, which then, because I had Imperial Guard, I started to corrupt and did the legions, of the Craig, what are the... Yes, the Lost in the Dam, which was really fun.
Oh, I have a huge Lost in the Damned army. Funny you should mention that.
How did you forget?
I don't know. That's true. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Right.
Well, the Conscript Army. Oh, you have the Squats, too.
I have the squads. My Lost in the Damned army, though, is all from a prison planet, so they're all in orange jumpsuits.
So those were my 40K armies.
Well, I still own my Imperial Guard army, which was the first army I painted. And then I have an Orc army. Also, the Imperial Guard army is probably about 2,400 points. The Orc army was a little bit about the same, 2,000 to 2,400 points. I had a good-sized Tau. The Orc and Guard army were finished, painted. The Tau Force got about halfway there, had about 2,000 points of them. And then I had a good-sized Space Marine army that I didn't really paint all myself. We kind of acquired it for the store. I had it for general purpose training and stuff, so I had that for a while. And I think that was pretty much it. Although I had a Sisters of Battle army, Grey Knight army, that my wife and I played a little bit. So I had that also. So I had like 4 armies.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I had Sisters of Battle, too.
Yeah. So that was our armies. And then the other question he had was, do we play...
Do we like games that use your armies that are point systems so it's all even, or is it more of a scenario
matchup? Game question? I guess more historical games are usually scenario-based, but there are some other games that are.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are missions in 40K. There are a lot of missions that we never ended up playing that are split your army in half and one random half goes away.
Yeah, yeah.
I would be really fed up if that was my one game that week.
Well, I think that, and the other point there too is there's some games that don't use points. I don't think that was his question, but like Babylon 5, for example, doesn't use points at all.
I love the Babylon 5 system.
And so I guess I do like some scenarios, but I think historical gamers seem to like scenarios more. They like here's what happened at Waterloo, try to change what happened, but here's how you started, or or sort of Axis and Allies is sort of the same sort of thing. Here's how the war started, make it different. I'm less interested in that kind of thing. I really like you're roughly
even
equal
playing
to start,
field,
even playing field, right? That's more my style. But I'm not married to points. If there's another way to get there, I'm okay with that. So like the Babylon 5 system was cool. I know there's some other systems that do different things. So that's cool too. But I do prefer a flat start because I like the sort of the chess stratego kind of idea that I'm equal to my opponent at the beginning of the game. Any comments on that, Mr. Granger?
Yeah, the comments are that I like in theory having an unbalanced game, but every time in practicality, I just get frustrated by it. Especially, it seems to come out in campaigns, where you want to have that realism with attrition, which is great when you're sitting around the table talking about it, but then it's just not fun.
When it's you that's 200 points down, it sucks.
Yes. And seems like you have no way to get back to it,
Oh, then you're talking about Necromunda and Mordheim.
Right.
Every frickin' game after the first 2.
Yeah, that's the thing. We should do a future show on campaign systems.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I think is always exciting in the beginning and you always regret in the end. Let's do it right. So we'll talk about that some more.
I don't know. That Mighty Empire's system is really good.
Well, cool. Well, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I did want to talk about that.
So anyway, that's the end of our mailbag bag. We're at the bottom of the bag. Thank you very much to everyone who sent in comments either on the forums or via email. We definitely want to do this again. It'll pop up basically whenever we can squeeze it in, and there's enough mail in the bag to make it make sense to have a 30-minute or so segment on it. So
and there's a lot of other mail that we didn't get to. Also,
no, we can't get to it all.
We can't get to it all.
And a lot of them say similar questions. So we try to do is find mail that represents a lot of the sort of comments coming in. So if we didn't read yours, we're sorry. We do try to respond to most email that comes in. So if you didn't get at least me or someone saying thanks for sending us an email, we try to do that. Just to let you know we got your mail and to thank you again for saying this. We do appreciate it. We do read them all. whether or not we actually, if we
In
mention them,
Hollywood's
respond to
case,
them.
he reads them all several times if they mention him.
He does, yeah. If you mention Hollywood,
Right.
Rafe will
Definitely.
probably almost stick it on the show, certainly, if you get in there. And also, we do go through the iTunes stuff as well, and next time we'll have some of the iTunes ones in the review system also, because some people make some good comments in there also about the show, so we'll do that also. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at thed6generation@gmail.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA Discussions forum on DACADACA.com. If, for some inexplicable reason, you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on our iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.